Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and today's video is that time that we helped a business get Suddenlink to waive $16,000 in quoted construction costs to get broadband, to get Suddenlink business broadband into their office. So again, this is that time that we helped a customer get waived $16,000 in quoted construction costs from Suddenlink and get broadband installed in their office for free, outside of course, the normal monthly cost and all that, which was better than what they were paying for some crappy DSL that they had in their office. So anyways, let's jump right into it. I'm going to explain what we did, how we did it, and so if you're a business that's watching this, whether it's Suddenlink you're trying to get, or Comcast, or something else, I'm going to try to explain how you can swing your weight to get what you want. Not always, but in some cases, especially if you contact me, because I can usually poise or work with you and poise some of the data and the leverage that you have to get the service you need and try to, if we can't waive all of the construction costs, at least get it dramatically reduced. So watch this video and hear me out. So anyways, this was a client that contacted us out of Texas. They were an insurance company, contacted us that had a building. And they had been trying to get Suddenlink broadband for 3 years. The reason these guys were trying to get Suddenlink broadband was because all they had was DSL. The only thing that was available in pretty much this immediate area was DSL. And these guys in their office desperately needed to go to voice over IP. They were growing, and for those of you who are watching this, you know that typically if you've got more than 3 to 5 phones, DSL I don't really recommend. You'll run into throughput problems and some other really strange issues that I won't get into in this video. I've got another video that we did that we're gonna do. It's on the list, but it's not out at this point, but it's actually on my this week's list, called Can You Run a Voice over IP Phone System on DSL? So refer to that video. I'll try to see if I can tag that in this video as a suggested video, but we're not going to get into that. We're just going to talk about the fact that these guys had DSL. They desperately needed to switch to something better like broadband or fiber. Fiber was available for these guys in their area through Spectrum Business, but it was coming out at like $600 to $900 a month for what these guys needed. It was too much. So broadband was the more cost-effective option, assuming we could get it at this location. So anyways, these guys have been calling Suddenlink for 3 years, trying to get internet. And Suddenlink kept telling them, no, it's going to be like $12,000 to $16,000 to install. Can't do it, can't do it, can't do it. They found me online, and they found where we've been able to pull off some of these impossible deals. And they emailed me on our website. They messaged me via email and said, hey, found your website. Give us a call. We're trying to get internet, but we've got a dilemma. I called up the operations manager at this insurance company, which is a really nice guy. He's one of the most pleasant customers that I've had the privilege of working with over the years. And he told me, he said, it's been about 4 months since I contacted Suddenlink. I've tried them for 3 years, and every time I've tried to get broadband at this office, they've always told me that I need to pay about like $12,000 to $16,000 in construction costs out of pocket to get them to, do the required construction. They had to run a cable under a street and trench this and do that. We just can't afford that, but we desperately need to switch to voice over IP, and we can't do that with this really crappy DSL that we've got. So I got with my peoples that I deal with, talked to Suddenlink. Suddenlink came back and said, okay, if these guys want broadband, we can't get around it. We're going to need the $16,000. We might be able to come down a bit and maybe do something a little bit. I did get them to say, we can come down a little bit for these guys since it's you, Prince, and you do a lot of business with us. We could come down $10,000, but we just can't do this for free because there just isn't enough business in the area or where these guys are. Went back to the customer and told the customer exactly what they told me, and he said, well, I guess we're stuck. And I said, not really. I said, did you hear the silver lining in that message? They just don't have enough customers in the area to justify waiving the cost. And he said, okay. I said, you guys are the landlord for the building that you're in, right? Right. He said, okay, we've got other people in this building. We've got 2 other companies in this building, and the owner of the building, which is also the owner of the insurance company, he said, his company, his employer, She also lives down the street and would love to have broadband in her house because all she's got is a DSL. And she's willing to run it on her business as a home office business account. I get back with Suddenlink. First, I tell my client, can you run a poll? Talk to all of the people in the office and find out who they are, what's their company names, are they willing to go into a contract with Suddenlink Broadband for their own business if they're going to make the switch. Took about a week or so, and he comes back to me and he gives me the good news, and he tells me, yes, I've talked with everybody in the office, and all of them would absolutely make the switch to Suddenlink Broadband if we can get it here and if there's no cost to us. I get with Suddenlink. Suddenlink wants to see the raw numbers. I give them kind of just some rough numbers of, you've got these 3 businesses, including the people that are the insurance company that own the business, and then the owner has a home down the street that needs XYZ, as well as some phone lines and some fax, which is more business for Suddenlink. Would you guys be willing to run this circuit to this building if we can do all this? Suddenlink says, we got to run this through approval. We have to go to service department, which is the people that come up with the numbers for construction costs and all that stuff, and let's see what we can do. It took a while. It took almost 3 weeks, but we actually got Suddenlink to come back and say, if you can get the owner at her house who wants broadband internet to sign a 2-year agreement, which is their standard for internet at her house, get the insurance company at the building as well as the other 2 tenants to all sign contracts for Suddenlink Broadband, we'll do the install for everybody and we won't charge construction for anything. So that's exactly what we did. There was a catch. Part of the catch was, and this is the case with all of the carriers, but not quite as lengthy as this one. Part of the catch was these guys, the carriers, when they have to do construction, they go through the proper channels. They have to get permits from the county, from the municipality, all that kind of stuff. They have to get a permit just like anybody else has to get permits and whatnot from your municipality and from your local government when you're building a home or building an office or breaking ground on a property. So I will go as far as saying it did take about 6 months of waiting. It was about 4.5 months of waiting for Suddenlink to get the permits and then come back to me and all of these people that sign these contracts for submission and say, hey, the permits are in. Now can we actually schedule a time for somebody to come out to your place and do the construction? It took about 4 to 6 weeks for them to do construction, and then in about 2 weeks, everybody was installed. So it was about a 6-month process, but nobody had to pay $16,000 out of pocket. So if you're watching this video, I can't guarantee you that I can do this in every scenario, but I would like to hear your scenario. I've worked magic like this all across the United States for Comcast, Suddenlink, Verizon, Spectrum Business. It differs by scenario, but it's worth bringing your case to me, letting me go to these providers on your behalf and see what magic I can work. Because if anybody can work some magic, I can probably work it better than you can if you try to go do this yourself, because I know how to speak to these providers to make it worthwhile for them and say, hey, if you bid for this customer, maybe we can throw some business your way in this way. For them, it's all about the numbers. They got to make up the money. And in this scenario, they looked at it like, okay, if we waive $16,000 upfront cost to a customer and we let this customer give us 4 businesses that need business that are willing to sign up for 2 years, which usually will go on longer. Who doesn't need internet at their business for more than 2 years? And they knew there was nothing in this area that was better than Suddenlink Broadband anyways. So why would you switch if your only options is broadband or some crappy DSL or dial-up internet or something like that? So they knew that eventually they'd make the money back, and it was a win-win for everybody. They'd get some loyal customers. The client wouldn't have to come out with of their pocket with $16,000, which could buy you a really nice brand new car or something like that. So anyways, Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, your go-to guy for the best deals on business phone and internet in the United States. If you need a hookup, I'm your guy. Give me a shout. I'll catch you guys in the next video.